Welcome to my live stream. First of all, can I apologise for not being around yesterday and the day before? I was away and the internet was so poor that when I looked back at Monday's recording, it was pixelated and difficult to hear. So I made the decision to not stream again until I was back in my office, which is where I am today. So today we're going to talk about what is a niche. Now, there is a lot of nonsense talked about what a niche is. And in fact, there's a lot of nonsense talked about marketing in general, isn't there? And client acquisition in general. I get it all. I had an email, well, actually, specifically a LinkedIn DM from somebody this week who said, hey, I'm opening 3 spots. What's with the spots for my new program where I'll get you 20 to 25 warm leads in your diary in the next 3 months. Would you be open to a conversation about that? I'm like, you've not looked at my profile, have you? And this person came back and said, well, yes, I have. And I think you're exactly the kind of coach that I could help. So that, you know, this spammy nonsense that happens in DMs is not good, effective, ethical marketing. So if you're thinking that's what marketing is, you can stop worrying about it because it's not. But I digress. What's a niche? A niche is a target audience. Niche, target audience, synonymous. That's it. I can stop now, and I've only been talking for 1 minute and 40 seconds. Now let me explain why there's a lot more to it than, oh, it's a target audience. If I ask a coach what's their niche, they tend to tell me one of 2 things. Well, 3 things. The first one will be, oh, I don't need to niche because I can coach anyone. And I'll say, yes, on the delivery side of your business, you can coach anyone who sits down in front of you. But on the creating the opportunities to do the delivery side of your business, you need a focus so that you can get people sitting down in front of you to be coached. Plain and simple. That's what client acquisition stuff is about. And they say, no, you don't understand, Sarah. I really can coach anyone. You know, my qualification, I was like, I absolutely get it. You can coach anyone. You cannot market to anyone. There is no such thing as generic marketing. If it isn't focused, it isn't marketing. Now, kind of the challenge around that is how much focus is required, because it is always way, 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 way more than coaches believe. So that's number 1. They tell me they don't need a niche because they can coach anyone. If you're going to coach somebody else's clients, so the client acquisition part is done for you. So the platforms, BetterUp, Lyra, Ezra, Coach Hub, that, they provide the client. There are some other, obviously, other associate companies too. They provide the client, you rock up and coach. You don't have to find the client. However, the pay for those is often not anything like the pay that you will get when you have your own clients. So the next thing a coach will tell me when I ask them what their niche is they'll say, oh, I'm a transformational coach. I'm a health and wellness coach. I'm a functional medicine coach. I'm a change coach. I'm a mindset coach. I'm this, that. And they give me either a job title that they've invented for themselves or the name of their qualification. And the thing about that is, as we've previously discussed, the word coach is a massive barrier to understanding for our potential clients. And the reason for that is they already know what coach means, but the meaning that they have in their head is not the meaning that we have when we're talking about our kind of coaching. And rather than get into this endless argument about, oh, but this is our kind of coaching and we should have a regulated industry and it's not fair, and rather than join in with that, the way out of it is to stop trying to compete with everybody else and stop trying to make people understand what we mean by coach and meet our clients where they are. So having a job title that has the word coach, which is already misunderstood, and then bolting a word on the front of it in the hopes that we can make that sound more understandable or make it more understandable to our potential clients is a mistake. And when it comes to things like change coach, transformational coach, mindset coach, isn't that just coaching? Isn't that what we all are? Now, one of the places where I get this kind of, oh, I didn't realize that, is with people who are things like functional medicine coaches or health coaches, wellness coaches, because they think that health, wellness, that's their niche. It's not. It's not. That is where their coaching expertise sits, on this side of their delivery scales. So if you've not seen me talk about these scales before, every single business, any business anywhere in the world, if it's going to succeed, it needs two things in equal measure, two skill sets in equal measure. And I think of them as an old-fashioned weighing scale. On one side of that weighing scale, we need our delivery skills. And if it's a product this business sells you, your product or service goes on the delivery side of your business. And we need to be excellent at that. We really do. On this side, which is the creating the opportunities to do the delivery, on this side, we have to be equally excellent, because you can be the best coach in the world, but if you don't have any clients to coach, are you a coach at all? Or are you a person with a coaching qualification? That's a question, isn't it? If you pass your driving test and then never get into a car ever again, are you a driver? Or are you somebody who has a driving license? Food for thought. Gosh, I could go down a hole with that one. So the niche sits on this side of your scales. So if it isn't, if you do need one, so the fact you can coach anyone doesn't count. If it isn't a job title, what's the other thing that coaches tell me when I ask them what their niche is? They tell me the what. They tell me the what. So when I say the what, I mean they tell me what they want to coach around. It's basically their main interest. So, I enjoy coaching around career development, or I enjoy coaching around anxiety and overwhelm, or I enjoy coaching around navigating difficult transitions, or I enjoy coaching around leadership, and they think that's their niche, and it's not. That's the what. So if those are not niches, what is a niche? What is a niche? Well, as I said in the beginning, a niche is a target audience, but a target audience isn't those who feel overwhelmed, or those in leadership, or senior leaders and business owners is one that I see quite often on LinkedIn headlines. Women in transition, senior leaders, that's just nowhere near focused enough to be effective. To have an effective niche, you need a who and a what. And I think of it as like a grid. There's like the verticals on this grid, which is a massive grid. These verticals are every single industry sector or profession that it is possible to have in the whole world. And the horizontals are every single topic around which we could coach. And where they intersect, the industry sector or profession that you choose and the what that you choose from that, where they intersect, that is where your niche sits. Now, the pushback that I get and the kind of reluctance and hang on a second, I don't like this, that can't be right. It's different for me, because people do not want to choose an industry sector or profession because that feels too tight. It's not too tight. The reason you need to know who these people are, and when I say who, I mean which industry sector or profession they work in, even down to what is their job title or range of job titles, is because when you know who they are, you know where they are. So let me explain what I mean by that. If our chosen vertical is lawyers, we know where lawyers are. We know what professional bodies they belong to. We know what publications they read. We know what professional networking events they go to. We know what conferences they go to. I could go on. When we know who they are, we know where they are. Now, if we look at that lawyer, let's say we're going to coach around emerging leaders. So there's a fairly simple one. So this is somebody who is navigating the transition from being somebody who does the work to being somebody who supervises other people to do the work. That's a tremendously challenging step. And it exists across every industry, sector, or profession. But if we have a lawyer who is an emerging leader, and over here we have somebody, a computer programmer. So somebody who's a computer programmer and somebody who is a lawyer, they can both have the same challenges going from doing the doing to supervising other people to do the doing, but they do it in different contexts and they do it in different places, literally different places, because your computer programmer won't be going to legal conferences. They won't be reading legal publications. They won't belong to the Law Society. They won't, they exist in different places. And the way those two things are experienced will be slightly different because of the context, because of the way that the work that they do affects their lives. So what I mean by that is the rhythm of somebody's life is, for a great part of our lives, dictated by the work that we do. What I mean by that is, our 9 to 5, or maybe maybe we're a medic and so we do shift work, or a nurse and we do shift work, or maybe we're a teacher and so we work in terms, or an academic and we work in semesters. The way somebody's life unfolds is dictated by their work predominantly. And yes, I know you're going to go, well, hang on a second, what about people who don't work? Let's leave those to one side for a moment. But people's lives are actually reasonably predictable when you know what they do for a living. So, and providing, of course, that you completely understand that world. You can't pick a random profession that you don't know anything about. You need to choose one in which you have either lived experience or you've had a front row seat to the life of somebody who is living that experience. So it could be a husband or partner or parent, maybe sibling, but you need to know the nitty-gritty of how that rhythm of life works and how things that are happening in the wider world impact that particular niche sector, sector, industry, or profession. So, for example, if there's an item in the news, big headline, does it have any impact at all on your particular chosen niche? It might not. But if it's about changes to the law, then actually your lawyer will be interested in that. Your computer programmer might not. If it's about some big court case at the Old Bailey in London, your lawyer might be interested in that. Your computer programmer probably won't. If it's about some massive change to AI and coding, then your computer programmer is going to be interested in a different way than maybe your lawyer is. And so understanding the nuance of their life, the rhythm of their life, the times of the year when things get stressful, the times of the year when you can take a breather and relax, the things that are going on in the outside world that might impact their professional world, understanding all of that means that you can market to them. Now, you don't need to know any of that to coach them. You absolutely don't. But I'm not talking about coaching. I'm talking about client acquisition. And client acquisition is marketing and sales. You can't market to somebody if you don't know who they are. And people who ... insert the blank is nowhere near specific enough. There is a lot of marketing noise. There's a lot of noise generally. Attention has never been such a precious commodity as it is in 2026. And it becomes a more precious commodity as time goes on because there are so many things that are competing with our ability to notice things. And with marketing, what we need to do is be noticed. We need to be able to show up in the places where the kind of people we want to work with are in such a way that they notice us. And the only way they're going to notice us is if we are talking about them. And the reason for that is that our potential clients are not interested in us, and they are not interested in our coaching skills. They're not interested in our coaching qualifications because, for the most part, they have no idea what we do. So, post-nominals don't really mean anything to them. I do appreciate there are some exceptions to that, but the vast majority, they don't care. It's not that they don't care, they just don't understand. So therefore it's not interesting. And you know, post-nominals become clutter rather than helpful. Most people have no idea what a coach is, but they think they know and they're wrong. Now, the fact that they don't have any idea what we do is a massive problem. And the reason it is such a massive problem is because what it means is they are not searching for us when we have a problem that when they have a problem that we could resolve. So what do I mean by that? If you think about any other provider of any service, you know, doctor, architect, dentist, therapist, psychotherapist, I could go on. Professional services, accounting, you know, et cetera, et cetera. People know what they do. And what that means is they understand when they need the services of one. Selling a house, I'm going to need a lawyer to do my conveyancing. End of tax year, I'm going to need an accountant to do my books. They know when they're looking for one of those other professions. With coaching, they do not. They don't know. They have no idea that we can help with those things. And so therefore, our job as coach marketers, which is what we need to become if we want to have a private practice, our job is to become visible to them in the places where they already are. And rather than try and teach them what we do, they're never going to be interested enough to learn. We have to say, hey, person that I've chosen the vertical of, profession, industry, or sector, are you struggling with this? Because if you are, I know how that's showing up for you. I know how it's affecting your life. I know how you're struggling. I know what you've tried to overcome, you know, the various things that you've tried in order to be able to overcome the thing that you're struggling with. And I can even help you understand why the things that you tried haven't worked in the way that you wanted them to. Because I know you're here and I know you want to be here, and this is what I do. So we don't start to describe the coaching process because they don't care. No consumer cares about a purveyor's processes. We don't care. What we care about, all of us when we are the consumer, and certainly our potential clients, is what will they get from working with us? What's in it for them? And that is something that as a profession, we are appallingly bad at describing. Good client acquisition can be brought down to a single sentence. It's the ability to articulate the value of coaching in a way that non-coaches can understand. That is an incredibly simple sentence, and it is a massively complex process, but it's learnable. Now, if you're sitting there and thinking, gosh, that sounds like a lot, where do I even start? Can I give you a place to start? On the 7th to the 10th of September, a couple of weeks' time, I am running my Nail Your Niche challenge. Now, I've run it for more than 5 years. I've run it multiple times a year for more than 5 years. And I have had feedback from thousands of coaches, all of whom say things like, why has nobody ever explained it like this to me before? Why didn't I know this? Gosh, this is really simple. This makes perfect sense. Finally, I understand what a niche is for. Finally, I can feel excited about the idea of having a niche rather than constrained. So if you've ever had any of those thoughts, or if you're just curious, why don't you join me for my challenge? Now, although I say it runs for 4 days, it doesn't involve sitting down at your desk for 4 days or blocking 4 days out of your diary. It's reasonably light touch. There's a task video dropped at 7 a.m. UK into the community, and it's that none of them is more than 20 minutes, and that's played at normal speed. Each of those videos has a concept and an associated task. You can drop the task into the task thread, and you can also ask any question you like in the Q&A thread. So the question can be anything, anything to do with building a coaching business. And then at 5 p.m. UK, Monday to Thursday, I go live, and I'm accompanied in that live by a group of my mentors. So there will be like 3 or 4 people who can answer your questions. I tend to answer them like this, and my mentors answer questions that pop up in the chat. So there's lots of opportunity to understand why this is so hard, why highly intelligent coaches find it so hard to find clients who pay the kind of rate that we talk about when we're training. I'll drop the link to register around this video in the next 5 minutes, and come and join me. There's even the opportunity to upgrade to VIP for the princely sum of £99, and that gives you 3 one-hour sessions with me across that week to dig deeper into your particular niche. They're group sessions, maximum 10 in a group. It's really good fun. What it is it challenges your thinking. And we're coaches. We love having our thinking challenged. So if you fancy a bit of brain toffee, come and join me for the challenge for a week. It's really good fun. You'll enjoy it. I'll see you tomorrow when we're going to talk about why the word transformation isn't as effective as we hope it would be when it comes to finding clients. I'll see you in the morning.